Speaking of hobbies, speaking of pastime, engagements, activities, you come to realize that there are certain individuals who have gifts, who have talents, who have this potential and passion, and they have this anointing, but they have picked a career that is not related in any way to their talents, to their gifts, to their anointing. They can work in that career that is disconnected from their talents. They can, you know, uh, maybe apply themselves at their very best, excuse me, and maybe proceed to make it. But they don't enjoy it. It's a headache to them. But they do have this side hobby, this side occupation, this side, um, preoccupation that they want to, from time to time when they're free, engage in. And you know what happens? Because your roles are your roles, your responsibilities are your responsibilities, your identity is your identity, your talents are your talents. They begin to shine, they begin to excel in those hobbies, and the world will begin to know them more for their hobbies that they do pastime on a pastime basis than for their serious careers, for their official responsibilities. You have had medical doctors who have composed some lyrics and recorded them. They are full-time medical practitioners. But when they are free, they trespass through the music field, and they compose, they record, they publish. And the world will start to know them more for their pastime works as opposed to their full-time, dignified, serious, and professional work. I think there was a doctor, perhaps was it from Nigeria, who composed a song. Well, I don't quite know its title, but some of the words were like, "That's my life." A very simple song, which to me was not something that could become a masterpiece. But he went on to win a, a world prize, a first class prize in competitions. He was an unknown person working as a doctor, treating people, and so on, and maybe saving lives. But the world got to know about him not because of that grand work that he was doing, the exploits in the medical field, but they got to know him for that simple song, which to me sounded like it's a mediocre composition, a mediocre lyric. But he became a high caliber person because of that song. And maybe you could say he might have had gifts for the medical practice. It might also have been in his lineage, and he might have inherited it from one of his ancestors. But he also had this talent which ran in the blood, which was part of his DNA, the talent in composing, recording, and singing. And that is what made him famous. Sometimes you have some of them, some of the professionals, playing soccer, and they become household names on the basis of playing soccer and not by virtue of their dignified, serious, professional work in another field. So, you see, you cannot make light of these talents, the bloodline talents, gifts, and anointing. They can actually lift us. They can elevate individuals to commanding heights if we care to study our lineages, to do excavations, establish our ancestry, get to know who went before us, what their names were, where they stayed, where they lived, who were their contemporaries, what did they achieve, what were their careers, what were their talents, how far did they go in the use of their talents, their gifts, and anointing. We need to know that so that we become aware of the clusters of talents that exist in our bloodline, in our lineage, in our very selves, because that makes our identity. And if we ignore that, sometimes we will continue to find ourselves struggling in the wrong areas, which are not our elements, where we don't fit, when the areas in which we are supposed to excel remain unattended to, and you have gaps, you have deficits, deficiencies in certain areas because you are actually operating in a different area, sometimes where you are struggling to meet targets, to satisfy customers, to actually deliver either the services or the products that are needed. And you are declining. Your image is being tarnished because you are in the wrong place. You need, therefore, to identify the right environment, the right talents, and where you should use those talents by recourse to studying, observing, inquiring into your lineage, your ancestry, and establishing the whole digest of talents, gifts, and anointing that was identified with those that went before you. And then look at yourself within that context and make your choices and start to gravitate towards persuasions, pursuits, careers that are linked and connected to the talents, the gifts, and anointing that you would have identified as having been prevalent down the generations from as far back as you can recollect, from as far back as you can remember, according to the information that will be available to you through oral history, through even records, and sometimes these things are actually, brought into your, awareness through dreams. You can dream about those that went before doing certain things. And maybe it is a way that nature actually uses in order to make you to become conscious of some of the talents that are within your lineage that were actually associated with some of your ancestors. But you were never told, you didn't get the information, you are in the dark about those talents. It's one way by which you can get to know. Besides actually getting information from elders and the neighbors of your departed ones. You could use all sorts of approaches to gather information regarding the inventory, the stock of talents that are associated with your lineage from generation to generation.